Hello and blessings to you. In this video, we'll go over chapter 14 of our first Hebrew primer, and we'll cover the adjective. Today, we have a little bit more material to cover, so I think I'll not do what we had done in the past two videos, and we'll skip over this oral review. Maybe we'll do some in class. So the first thing we'll do is we'll go over some vocabulary. Alright? So, our first word is the word for one, or a single, something along those lines. So we have achad, one, single. Now, I just wanted to draw your attention because in our devotional we've been going over the Shema, starting in Deuteronomy 6:4. So here we have our word, achad. So Shema, you know this verb, you don't know this form, it's a command. So here, Yisrael, Israel, the Lord, Eloheinu, our God, the Lord, Echad. So, kind of cool. So literally, this would be, Hear Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord one. Right? So, and then, of course, we kind of translate that a little better. Hear Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. Or something along those lines. You might have also heard translations like the Lord alone. So like only the Lord. Same kind of idea. Because if we look at the word only, we can see it comes from the word one. It's like the quality of being one. It's kind of what that word means. So all the same kind of general idea. Alright. Well, because our chapter today is about the adjective, most of our vocabulary words are now going to be adjectives. So let's kind of go through these. You'll see we'll also come to my name, so that's exciting. So here we go. Gadol, big or great. Zakein, old. Chokam, wise. And notice this is a comet hatuf. Chokam, instead of chakam, it's chokam. And again, that's wise. Tov means good. So the Lord saw that it was Tov, good. This is also the tree of Tov, Vara, good and bad. So Tov. Yosef, my name, Joseph. Of course, in English we go through German, which transliterates Y sounds into J's, but still pronounce them as Y's. And then in English we pronounce them as J. So we say Joseph, but Yosef. Okay. Leah. Ma'od means very. It could also mean something like exceedingly. And I want to draw your attention back to the Shema, because this word is here too. You see the last word in verse 5, so let's take off this ending, pretend that's not there. You see ma'od. So this, I won't kind of break down every word except this last one, but this says, and you will love the Lord, your God, with all of your heart and with all of your life or soul and with all of your very? How does that make sense, right? You shall love the Lord your God with all of your very. Yeah, so kind of a strange choice that we wouldn't really make today, huh? Sorry, let me close that. But I think our devotional will go more into detail with that, so I'll let you keep the suspense of what this is talking about. So let's keep moving on with vocab. Saviv means around, roundabout. maybe even something like nearby. Rav, many, much, a lot of. Ra, bad, evil. So I was telling you the tree in the garden. Tov, vara, good and evil. But also, of course, could just be bad. So good and bad. We don't have to translate it evil. And so for that reason, some people choose to understand that tree as maybe being a tree that kind of opened people's eyes to thinking of what is good and bad for oneself. So I am now able to decide what is good and bad for me. So perhaps it has a connotation like that. We don't know. We could translate it both ways. Last word is tachat, means under instead of. Okay. Well, so of course the material we're covering is specifically the adjective. So the adjective, like in English, so here's some English examples. We have a big father, good daughters, priestly kingdom, and holy nation. So big, good, holy, and priestly in the example I pulled out of the air are all adjectives, and they modify in English the word following them. So big, father. So what is it that is big? It is the father that is big. So in Hebrew, though, the adjective often will come after the noun rather than before. So it's a lot like Spanish in this regard, for those of you that know Spanish as well. So here, instead of chokum av, we have av chokum. So literally, a father, a wise one. All right, but instead we say a wise father. Here we have melech tov. So literally again, a king, a good one. Kind of, let's translate that better and we'll say a good king. Am gadol. We might say a people, a great one. And then putting it together, a great people or nation. Okay? Some other differences in English. So in English, no matter what the noun is that this adjective is modifying, no matter which one or what form it takes, it's always going to be the same. So we have good father, good daughter, good fathers, good daughters. So good always stays the same. In Hebrew, it is going to match one of our 4 noun forms. So it could be masculine singular, feminine singular, masculine plural, and feminine plural. Okay? So here's some examples of that. Bain tov, a good son. Literally, a son, a good one. Next we have bat tova. So notice it has that same feminine singular ending that comments hey. Bat tova, a good daughter. Literally, a daughter, a good one. Banim tovim. So you can see it matches this masculine plural ending, the hirik yod mem. Banim tovim. So literally, sons, good ones. And so we might say good sons. Banot tovot. So daughters, good ones. So good daughters. Okay? So important thing to remember is that the adjective will always agree in gender and number to the noun that it describes or modifies. Okay? And I'll also draw your attention, the author wants us to kind of use the terminology adjective phrase to describe what's going on here. Okay? Well, I'm going to, I think, try to read through these, except for the first one. I'll kind of break afterwards. And I want you to pay attention to the cadence. I'm going to try to speak in a certain cadence that might emphasize how these forms rhyme. All right? So first, though, we'll talk about achad and achat. Notice there is only a masculine singular and feminine singular, and no plurals. Well, it's obvious why. You can't have a plural one, right? So it wouldn't make sense to talk in terms of a plural one, at least not in ancient Hebrew language. So we just have achad and achat. All right. But now let's move on to gadol, godalah, godalim, godalot, zakain, zakana, zakanim, zakanot, chokam, hakama, hakamim, hakamot, tov, tova, tovim, tovot, rav, rava, ravim, ravot, ra'ah, ra'im, ra'ot. Okay? And I trust that as I was going through that, you could have just read these to kind of know where we were at. I wanted to kind of preserve that cadence, kind of going through it, so you would see that these words do just follow those noun rules for masculine, feminine, singular, plural. So, okay. So with that being said, because they agree with the noun that they modify, they will generally have the same endings as the nouns, okay? Keyword here, though, is regular nouns, so we'll talk about maybe some exceptions. Actually, just right down here, it looks like. So let's kind of take a look at this. So we have davar tov. Well, that one doesn't really rhyme or anything because masculine singular words are endingless. So, but if we come to devarim tovim, so notice they kind of rhyme in English. We would call that rhyming. So mishpacha tova, a good family. So notice that comments hey ending on both of these. Mishpachot tovot, good families. Okay, so that pluralizes it with that holam vav tav ending. Right? Now there is an exception to this, and it's going to be those endings that we learned a long time ago. Remember, sometime masculine words will take a feminine plural ending to them. So av is an example of that, and vice versa. So it kind of goes both ways. So for those words that are irregular, you'll just have to kind of keep in mind what the true gender is, if that makes sense. Let's kind of look at that, okay? So here we have ir gedolah. So even though ir doesn't have an ending, which might make you think that it's a masculine singular word, it's actually a feminine singular word. And for that reason, we have this comments hey ending after gadol, so it becomes godalah. Right? Okay, now further, even though it takes a masculine plural ending when ir becomes plural, arim, it is still feminine, so it's not arim gadalim, instead it is arim gadalot with this feminine plural ending. Okay? On the other end of the spectrum, we have av tov, so a good father. So far, so good. But now when we come into plural, avot. Avot sounds like a feminine ending, a feminine plural ending. But it becomes avot tovim. So the masculine nature of this noun is preserved in this adjective, even though the noun itself takes that feminine ending. Okay? So just something to keep in mind as we move towards translation. Okay? So nouns do have a gender. At all times they'll have a gender, and even if it doesn't look like they are the gender that they actually have, any adjectives will retain that quote-unquote true gender. Okay? Alright, well let's go a little deeper into this, okay? So, if a noun is definite, just like it is agreeing with person and number, gender and number up here, if it is definite, the adjective will also be definite, okay? And when that happens, the definite article is not translated, okay? At least in our better English translation. Don't translate that. So here we have Habayit Hagadol. So literally, this is the house, the good, or the big one. Gadol, big. Okay? But when we pull this into kind of better English, we'll say the big house. And this will just kind of ignore the second definite article here. Okay? So here, Hamishpacha Hatova. So literally, the family, the good one. Okay? But when we put that in better English, we'll just say the good family. Ha'av hachokam. So the father, the wise one. So in better English, we'll say the wise father. Ha-batim hagodalim. Okay? The houses, the big ones. Sorry, it looks like I should have jumped over instead of going down, but that's okay. You can just kind of reference the singular forms on the right side. So, ha-batim hagodalim. Okay? The houses, the big ones. So in better English, the big houses. Hamishpachot hatovot. The families, the good ones, the good families. Ha'avot hachokam. Sorry. Ha'avot hachokamim. Okay. The fathers, the wise ones. So the wise fathers. Okay. Now, the same thing is true for our proper nouns. So like place names, people names, they are definite by nature. So when they have an adjective on them, that adjective will also be definite. Okay? Example of that, Mitzrayim Hagodalah. Sorry. Hagodalah. Sorry. So Egypt, the great one. So then in better English, it will be Great Egypt. Okay. David has a cane. So literally, David, the old one. So we'll say old David. Okay? If you have any questions about any of this, of course, ask them in class. Make a note of them. Bring it up. Maybe other people have the same question. All right, let's talk about noun sentences. Okay? So, sometimes a noun sentence will just be composed of a noun and an adjective. Okay? So, whereas we might have said something like, I don't know, David is a father, or something along those lines. Now we could say something like David is old by just saying David Zakein. So actually, this sentence right here, if we remove this article, we would have David Zakein. Okay? This could be a noun sentence in its own right. So this could literally be David is old. Well, yeah. So, let's look at the examples that they actually gave us. So here is Ha'ish Zakein, the man is old. Okay? Ha'em Tova, the mother is good. Habanim Hachakmim. Sorry. Chakamim. Don't know why that's so difficult for me. Well, it's the guttural sounds I'm not used to pronouncing. So this could mean the sons are wise. Okay? So now, if you're tracking with everything that I've said so far, you might be asking, okay, so how do I know if it's acting as an adjective or in a noun sentence? How do you even know? Well, hopefully you know me well enough by now that the first answer I'm going to give you is context, right? So by the context of a passage, you'll have enough clues to determine, is this a noun sentence or is this adjective actually an adjective? Okay, but let's give you a little better of an answer, at least this time. Okay, there are a few ways that you can begin to distinguish between a noun sentence and whether it's functioning adjectively. Okay, so if both are definite, then it is an adjectival phrase. Okay, and also with that, the adjective has to follow the noun. Okay, so if they're both definite and the adjective follows the noun, it's an adjectival phrase. So habayit hagadol. The big, sorry, the big house. Ha'isha hazakena, the old woman. Ha'ish hatov, the good man. Okay, so those are all adjectival phrases. Okay, first of all, both words are definite, and the adjective follows the noun in each of these instances. Okay, so we know those are adjectival phrases. Okay, now if the noun is definite and the adjective is indefinite, then it is a noun sentence. Okay, so here we have gadol habayit and habayit gadol. So they're also, I guess I could have just read this other sentence, they're also showing you that the word order does not matter in a noun sentence. Okay, either one can go first and they both mean the same thing. So if there's a noun sentence, I might say big is the house, or the house is big. So one of those sounds funny in English, but they both technically work. But of course we prefer the one that sounds normal, so the house is big. So notice both in this example, the word order, the adjective comes first, and in both examples, the adjective is not definite while the noun is definite. And so for those reasons, this is a noun sentence. Okay? Zakena ha'isha. The woman is old. Literally, old is the woman. Ha'isha zakena. The woman is old. Okay? Same reasons as above. Ha'ish tov. The man is good. Tov ha'ish. Good is the man. And of course, we'll kind of reverse that in English, so the man is good. Okay? Now, if both words are indefinite and the adjective comes second, then it could be either way. It could be an adjective phrase or a noun sentence, and again, we'll go back up to this context word. So just the context of the passage, that's how you'll know. So apart from any other context, we could go either way with these phrases. Bayit gadol, a big house, a house is big, either one works. Isha zakena, a woman is old, an old woman, both work. Ish tov, a man is good, a good man, both of those work. Okay? Now, I've probably been doing this the whole lesson, but let's talk about another way that adjectives can function, and that's as nouns in their own right. Okay? So if you have an adjective all by itself and there's no apparent noun, the adjective can actually function as a noun. So in that situation, we might say, for instance, hatov, the good one. Okay, so good one, great one, bad one, something along those lines. Wise one, foolish one. I mean, of course, you could go through with this with any adjective, right? So let's look at some tangible examples. Hu hatov. So we might translate this, he supply is, so he is hatov. He is the good one, right? So we might just leave it at he is good. That works too. He is good. But literally, we could also just say, he is the good one. Zakanim, so the old ones, ba'ir. So again, without context, it's kind of hard to say exactly what this one would be, but we could say the old ones in the city. Okay, that works. The old ones in the city. Maybe we expect more sentence to follow. Here you can see they translate it, the old ones are, supplying this as a noun sentence, are in the city. Okay? Hechachon, ha, he, cho. I'm just really struggling. I'm telling you, I've been at the preachers conference for the past few days, and been at the seminary pretty much all day, just sitting in wooden pews, and everything was great. But I'm kind of worn out for some reason. Not sure why, but I guess I'm getting older than I remember being. But sorry. So all that to say, I apologize. So he chokam, he chokam. Okay. The wise one, and in this case wrote. The wise one wrote. Okay, so notice we don't have any real noun in this sentence. Literally, I guess we could break this down further and say, the wise one, comma, he wrote. Right? But that's not entirely necessary, so it's just as fine to say the wise one wrote. Okay? I think we just have, oh no, we have a little bit more to go actually. So hang in there with me. Next part is adjectives and word pairs. Okay, the main thing to recognize here is that any adjectives are added after the entire word pair. Okay, so with that being said, it could be the first word, the second word. So by it, I mean the adjective can be modifying either the first word, the second word. If there's more than two words, it could be any of them. And so how do you know which word it's modifying? Well, I could just bring up this context word again. That's a bad C. Context will certainly help, but we'll have a little more help with this than just context until we get to the end of this section. Okay, but I'll go ahead and write this to be ready. Okay, so how do you know? Because the adjective will take the form of whatever word it's describing. Okay, so in this example, we have Beit Sarah, so the house of Sarah, Hagadol. So we might say is big. That could be one way of translating this, but we're assuming we have more of a sentence going on here. So Hagadol, which form is Gadol here? It's just in our normal masculine singular form. So for that reason, we know that it is modifying house instead of Sarah, right? Now, if it was modifying Sarah, how would that look? It would look like Hagadolah, right? So here's the difference between these two sentences. So we know that this is modifying house and this is modifying Sarah. Okay. Next example, Malkei Ha'ir Hara'ah. So the kings of the evil city in this example. So you see kings is in that word pair form. So the pulls out to the front. The kings of the city. Now hara'ah. So we see that this is the feminine form because it has this feminine ending, right? So we know that it's talking about the city. So it's city that is bad or evil in this situation. So the kings of the evil city, the kings of the bad city, something along those lines. Okay. Malkei ha'ir hara'im. Okay. So this, because of the masculine plural ending, we know that it's modifying kings here, because kings has this tsere yod, which is the masculine plural of the word pair form. Notice that that can happen, okay? So you might be expecting im, okay, right? But because it's in the word pair form, that im turns into tsere yod. So keep that in mind. Okay, last example, in this section. We have anshe ha'eretz hatovim. So which one is it modifying? Well, men is masculine. This is masculine plural, so we have this masculine plural ending right here. So we know it's men. So the good men of the land. Okay? Anshe ha'eretz hatovah. So here we have a feminine ending, feminine singular. This comment's hey. So we know that eretz is a feminine singular word. So it has to be the good land. So the men of the good land. Okay? Now, of course, there can be situations where maybe the words in the word pair have the same form. Okay, so B'nai Ha'amim. Okay, the sons of the nations, right, or the peoples. So here we have Hatovim. They all three have the same masculine plural ending. So which one does it go? We don't know, not from these words alone. Okay, so this could be the good sons of the nations, could be the sons of the good nations. We don't know, either way. And again, that's why I wrote this word context. That's how we'll know, is by context. So the passage will make it evident which one it is supposed to be. Usually, I guess there could be a situation where maybe it doesn't quite help still. So, but for now, just generally rely on the rules up here, and if it does come to something like this, try to just figure it out by context the best you can. Okay, now here's our word ma'od that we had talked about in a moment ago that's in the Shema right here, ma'odika. So in English, very comes before the adjective, so we might have very wise, very smart, very great, very tall, something like that. In Hebrew, it comes after, okay? So just like the adjective comes after the noun, this word is modifying the adjective, and so it comes after the adjective. So here we have ha'ish gadol ma'od. So the man, the good one, or sorry, the great one, very. So we might say, the man is very great. So that works. And it's just showing you the word order because it's a noun sentence in this case, because we have a definite noun and an indefinite adjective. So that's a word pair. I'm sorry, not a word pair, a noun sentence. So the word order can fluctuate with that. Also notice though with this noun sentence that ma'od came at the very end of everything. Okay, so instead of gadol ma'od ha'ish, it's gadol ha'ish ma'od. So it doesn't mean the great one, the man very, like very man. That's not what it's saying at all. Ma'od is still going after this adjective here. Okay? Okay, I think we're just about done, yeah. The end is in sight, so hang in there with me. Okay, so you've already learned in the last chapter, ze, zot, so masculine, this, feminine, this, and ele, these. So these are demonstrative adjectives, okay? So in English we say this, like we might say this man is an example of that. This is a demonstrative adjective. So here we have ze ha'ish. So this can function as a noun sentence. This is the man, so that works. It could also just be this man. So really that could go both ways with this. So here, Ela hadevarim, these are the words, so that works. These demonstrative adjectives can be used with definite nouns. When they are used with definite nouns, they will also have the definite article attached to them. Okay, so ha'ish hazeh, So the man, this one. Literally, if we were to give a super wooden translation, the man, this one, right? So in English, we would just say this man, and both of these articles would drop out. We wouldn't say the at all. So we'd just say this man walked towards the house. So notice this hey of direction here at the end of house. Right? Okay, hope you were tracking with me with all that. Let's do another example. Hamishpacha hazot teshev ba'ir. Okay, literally we have the family, this one, they will settle in the city. Okay, that's super literal. Let's get that into a better translation. This family will settle in the city. Okay, next one. Hadavarim ha'ele min haTorah. Okay, the words, these ones, from the Torah. Okay, better English. We recognize this is a noun sentence and kind of reorganize some stuff. And we have these words are from the Torah. Okay, so notice you've come a long way since we first started translating. Okay, we're no longer really sticking to how things are in English. This is a very Hebrew sentence. The words, these ones from the Torah. So these words are from the Torah. Notice how we are bouncing around. We recognize things like the definite article while at the same time ignoring it. Okay? So bouncing around, ignoring some things, adding some other words, and we have these words are from the Torah. Right? Okay. So for the word that, okay, it's another demonstrative adjective. It is actually just the words who and he. So you know this. Who is he? He is she. Both can also mean it. When you make these words definite, we translate it as that. Now, of course, literally, it's the it in both of these examples. The it, or perhaps the him or the her, depending on the situation. But in English, that doesn't make any sense. None of those do. So instead, we say that. Okay? And then it's just kind of explaining that you'll use them depending on whether the noun it's helping modify is either masculine or feminine. So, of course, who will go with the masculine word and he will go with the feminine word. Okay? So let's kind of look at this, what this might look like. Zakarnu, okay, so we have this perfect first common plural perfect verb, zakar. Zakarnu, so we remembered. Hayom hahu, so we remembered, don't translate that, the day, the it, right? The day, the it. Okay, so instead we'll say, we remembered that day. Okay, Hakohen, hahu, amar devarim ravim. So the priest, the him, said many words. Okay, better English, we might say, that priest said many words. Okay, notice how we kind of have to bounce around, fill in some gaps, kind of do a little preemptive translation even as we are moving through it the first time. Okay, Habat hahi bat ra'ah. Okay, the daughter, the her, a daughter, a bad one. So, of course, I'm doing that kind of literally. So here we have that daughter. Notice that the article drops off. That daughter is a bad daughter. Okay? Now, same kind of thing going on with these. Haim. So you know haim means they. So the they or the them we translate as those. Okay? So here we have ha'eved yada et ha'anashim hahaim. So the servant knew the men, the them. So the servant knew those men. So kind of in my head, how I translate this with like the them, in my head I'm kind of pointing, the them, those ones. And that kind of, I don't know if that will help you, but it helps me. Kind of identify the them as those, like them over there, those ones. So maybe that'll help you. Bayamim hahem halachnu ma'eretz Mitzrayim. So a lot going on here. In the days, those ones, they went from the land of Egypt. Okay? So again, I want to emphasize there's a lot going on in this sentence. Okay? But the cool thing is, you know it all. So you might have to slow down, and that's perfectly fine. But you do know all of this, and you're familiar with that. So here we have ba, so we know this is in. We have a patak here instead of a shava, so we know that's in the. Then we have days. So in the days, here we have the definite article, the, them. So in the days, the, them. Here we have a first common plural noun. So we walked. So in the days, the, them, we walked. Here we have from the land. Well, okay, so from a land, and then we insert of Egypt. And then once we get to Egypt, we come back, and that's when we put the here. Okay? So again, a lot of bouncing around, lots going on here. You kind of have to translate it once and then translate it again. But that's all perfectly fine, and it's good to go slow. And so, but you already know all of this. So I'm impressed with you, and I hope that you're impressed as well. So just let's go over this one last time. So in those days, we walked from the land of Egypt. So cool. There you have it. Okay, so I thought we had already covered this, but I guess not. So if a noun is followed by both an adjective and a demonstrative adjective, the demonstrative adjective follows the regular adjective. Okay? So in English, it's all kind of reversed. We'll say this old man in Hebrew. Ha'ish hazakain hazeh. So the man, the old one, the this one. So this old man. Okay? And so with inseparable prepositions, they are attached to the noun because they're inseparable. So the adjective and demonstrative follow that still. Okay? So we'll have to kind of insert this in between right here. So not a very well-drawn arrow, but so here we have bayit hazeh. So in the house, the this one. So in English, instead of saying this in the house, we insert this in between this right here. So in this house. Okay. La anashim hahem. So those men, right? But so to those men or for those men. Okay. Have any questions about any of this? Write it down. Ask me in class. Okay. Last section. The end is near. Okay. So in English, and actually we've talked about this before, but when we first were introduced to mean, I think that Might have been chapter 6 or 8 or something a little while ago. But so mean is used for comparisons. Okay, so in English, obviously, we add like an ER to the end of an adjective. So we have bigger, older, smarter, wiser. And then we also say than for comparison. So bigger than, older than. In Hebrew, they use the word mean, or the prefix version of it, and then an adjective. Okay? So here we have Habayit Gadol min ha'ohel. Okay? So literally, we have the house, and we'll insert is big from the tent. The house is big from the tent. And what that means is the house is bigger than the tent. Okay? So keep in mind both ways. On a quiz, I might ask you for a literal version, and I will expect for you to write, the house is big from the tent, right? But because it's a comparison, we'll say the house is bigger than the tent in our kind of better translation. So let's just kind of go through these examples really fast, and we'll be done for the day. Okay? So Naomi Zakena Misara. Okay? Naomi is older than Sarah. Okay? Literally, Naomi is old from Sarah. Naomi is older than Sarah. Habanim godalim min ha'avot. The sons, the big ones, are big from the fathers. Okay? So the sons are bigger than the fathers. Ha-na'arot, sorry, that's the word I've been tripping up all night for some reason. Ha-na'arot chokomot min ha-na'arim. Okay, so the young women are smart from the young men. Sorry, wise really is the sense of this, not smart. So the young women are wise from the young men. So, better English, the young women are wiser than the men, than the young men. Okay. Well, thanks for sticking through to the end. I know this was kind of a longer video, so I am very proud of you guys. You guys did very well on your quiz last Saturday, and I have full confidence you'll continue to do well. I hope you're starting to develop a passion for the Hebrew language. It is different than English, and sometimes it's difficult, but you guys are doing very well. So, blessings to you. Hope you have a great night.